By the time you're finished listening to this Pepsi Zero Sugar, you'll be 15 seconds closer to kickoff. Stock up now. Bengals game day is so close, you can almost taste it. Bengals watching. Better with Pepsi.
Ever feel like you're just spinning your wheels with your career? Like you're ready for a change, but not sure like what direction to even go in?
Oh, totally. It's so common to hit that point where you're like, okay, something's got to change, but then you freeze up because you don't know what the next step is.
It's like analysis paralysis for your career, right? And that's why I'm so excited for today's deep dive, because we're tackling the big question: career counseling or coaching? Because sometimes just having a little expert guidance is all it takes to get you back on track.
Absolutely. And we're tapping into the wisdom of career strategist Renata Bernarde for this one.
Love her. Her podcast, the Job Hunting Podcast, is like full of these light bulb moments.
Oh, for sure. In fact, she starts a recent episode with an email from a listener, and it perfectly sums up why people get coaching and counseling confused in the first place.
Ooh, okay, so what's the email about?
So this person's at this career crossroads, right?
Yeah.
And they're thinking about making a change, but they don't know where to begin. So they emailed Renata, asking if they should start with her strengths assessment or go straight for a one-on-one consult.
So I'm already thinking strengths assessment, that sounds like figuring out what you're naturally good at, which to me screams career counseling, right?
Exactly. And that's usually the first step. See, this person wasn't a recent grad, like trying to figure out their whole life. They were further along in their career, probably had some experience under their belt, and they realized they needed a change, but they weren't sure what that looked like.
Makes sense. So what did Renata say?
Well, she clarified that she's actually a career coach, and that means she helps people develop strategies to reach goals on a path they've already chosen, not necessarily start from scratch figuring out what that path should be.
Oh, I see.
So in this case, she recommended the consult over the self-guided assessment, since it seemed like this person was looking for more personalized guidance to sort through their options.
That's so interesting because it highlights that distinction, right? Like, are you trying to figure out what you want to do versus how to actually get there?
Totally.
Okay, so let's unpack career counseling a little bit more. What exactly is it, and how does it usually work?
Think of it as like a deep dive into you, but like the professional version of you.
Okay, I like that.
It's rooted in psychology, so they use assessments, exercises, all that good stuff to help pinpoint your interests, what kind of personality you have, your skills, all of it.
To like really paint a picture of you.
Exactly. And the end goal, to uncover that career path that not only makes sense for you, but that you'll actually find, fulfilling.
I love that. And this isn't just for like, the new grads fresh out of college, right? I could see someone who's been in the workforce for years needing this kind of like career reboot.
Oh, 100%. Maybe
Okay.
your values have changed, you know, or your priorities have shifted, or maybe you're just feeling kind of stuck. Career counseling can help you hit that refresh button and explore completely different fields. It's never too late for a career makeover. That's what I always say.
A career makeover, I love that. But let's be real, this whole process can get pretty personal, right?
Oh,
I mean, we're talking about your future here,
right.
which can bring up a whole lot of emotions, I would imagine.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, self-doubt can creep in, fear of the unknown, maybe even some pressure from, family or society. But a good career counselor can actually help you work through all those emotional roadblocks so that ultimately you can make choices that are truly your own.
Okay, so we talked about hitting the reset button with career counseling, but how about career coaching? Is that like the same thing, or?
Totally different vibe with coaching. Think of it this way. Counseling is more about introspection, really looking inward, while coaching is all about action. It's for when you already have a sense of where you want to go, but you need a plan to actually get there.
For less, what do I want to be when I grow up? And more like, this is what I want, now how do I make it happen?
You got it. It's like having a personal trainer, but for your career. They'll help you set goals, break them down into those like bite-sized steps, and then boom, create a plan to achieve each one.
Love that. So would that look like, I don't know, updating your resume and finally like learning how to network, or is there more to it?
All of that and more. Think interview skills, salary negotiation, even just building confidence. It's about equipping you with the tools and strategies you need to succeed.
Something I find really interesting about Renata's approach is her focus on what she calls career sustainability.
Oh yeah, what is that?
So it's not just about finding a job, it's about building a skill set that's adaptable so you can thrive in any job market.
Okay, so not just building a career, but building like a career powerhouse.
Yes. one that's ready for anything.
I love that. And it makes me think about this idea that I think a lot of people have, myself included, that like career counseling is for younger folks who are just starting out, and then coaching is for, the more seasoned professionals. But Renata kind of flips that on its head big time. She actually tells this great story about a younger family member who was already killing it in their chosen field, but wanted to, climb the ladder faster.
Yeah.
And they were getting frustrated.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. And through talking it out, they realized that they didn't need to figure out what they wanted to do because they already knew. What they needed help with was how to make that happen faster, more efficiently.
So it wasn't a question of what, but a question of how.
Exactly.
Yeah.
They needed a strategy, not a career overhaul.
Yeah.
And that's when coaching clicked for them.
That makes so much sense. So it's not really about your age then. It's more about like where you are in your career path and what specific challenges you're facing.
100%. Like on the flip side, Renata's talked about working with people who have decades of experience, but they're at a point where they want to do a complete 180, like start fresh in a totally new field.
Yeah.
And in those cases, career counseling can be invaluable because it helps you unearth those hidden talents or interests you maybe didn't even know you had.
Yeah.
And then coaching can help you turn those strengths into a solid plan.
So it's almost like those career counseling assessments and exercises, they can reveal these like hidden superpowers you have.
Yes, exactly.
And then coaching is like, okay, now let's take those superpowers and like build you a freaking awesome costume.
Yes. I love that analogy.
Right.
Because it is kind of like that.
And, it reminds me, Renata also talks about how important it is to have that support system outside of a counselor or coach. Like mentors, former managers, even just people in your network who've made similar career moves.
It's huge having that network. It can make all the difference. But you're right, not everyone has those people readily available, and that's where career counseling or coaching can be so helpful in filling that gap, having that like objective expert in your corner to bounce ideas off of.
So it's like having that sounding board, but also someone who can like give you concrete advice and strategies too.
Exactly.
Okay, so as we start to wrap things up here, what would you say is the biggest takeaway for our listeners today? If they're like on the fence, how do you know which path is right for you? Career counseling or coaching? What's the thing to ask yourself? It really comes down to, like Renata was saying, knowing yourself and what you need help with, right?
Yeah, knowing where you're at. Is it, I have no clue what I want to do? Or is it, I know what I want, but I need help figuring out how to get there?
And it could be both, right? Like maybe you have a general idea, but you're still wrestling with some of those deeper questions, like what am I even good at? Or what do I actually enjoy doing?
For sure. And it's okay if it takes some time to sort through all that.
It's a process. And honestly, I think we need to give ourselves more permission to like invest in our careers the same way we invest in other areas of our lives,
Right. Like we spend so much time thinking about our health, our relationships, our finances.
All of it.
But our careers, it's like, oh yeah, that thing I spend most of my waking hours doing, I'll get to it eventually.
It's true. But what if this was the year?
Yeah.
What if this was the year that you decided to finally like invest in figuring out what you really want and then actually building a plan to make it happen?
Now that would be amazing.
Right. Talk about a New Year's resolution, because at the end of the day, this is your career, your journey.
You get to decide what that looks like.
Exactly. And if you're at a point where you're feeling lost or you just need a little guidance, a little push in the right direction, please know that there's no shame in asking for help.
It's true.
Whether it's, taking the plunge with career counseling, trying out a career coach, or even just reaching out to like that friend, that mentor who always seems to have it figured out.
Sometimes just talking it out can make all the difference.
It really can.
Even if it just gives you that little boost of confidence to take that next step.
Because who knows? It could be the best investment you ever make.
It really could.
Not just in your career, but in yourself.
Beautifully said.
So there you have it, career counseling. Coaching. The choice is yours. The important thing is to find what works for you and go after these dreams, whatever they may be.